Good evening, everyone. Firstly, I would like to thank everyone for attending my previous show with Karina Lobo. Karina and myself have been receiving lots of love from many people. I'm grateful to God and I'm grateful to all of you guys. Well, my today's topic is about acceptance. I keep saying acceptance whenever I speak about mental health is because accepting that it hurts is stronger than acting like it does not. The second color of the rainbow is orange, and it stands for acceptance for me. Acceptance is the answer to all your questions you may be searching for, including this pandemic. So, welcome to my talk show, Voice Out, Speak Up to Reach Out, and this is season one, my second episode. I am your host, Rosie Bonita Fernandez, the founder of Being Beautiful. My second speaker today is Dr. Tanuja Prem. Firstly, I could not believe that she agreed to do this for me. So, thank you, Doctor. And Dr. Tanuja Prem is a psychotherapist, a life leadership trainer, an educationist, special educator, and drama therapist based in Mumbai. I was actually introduced to Dr. Tanuja by my sister in law, Shamita, who is also a special educator. Well, I met Dr. Tanuja during my lowest days when I hit the rock bottom, where I almost lost the will of even living. So I must say, Dr. Tanuja, you have done a fantastic job by handling me. And she was the one who actually taught me to do what makes you happy. She always says this happy times. You will know why she says this. So, not wasting much time, I would like to introduce you to Dr. Tanuja Prem. So, welcome, Doctor.
Thank you so very much, Bonita, for the kind words. And let me tell you one thing, that you've done what you needed to do all by yourself. Okay. The only thing I think we did was talk about what challenges you were facing. And you're somebody who took on those challenges actually like a bull, who has horns, and you said, okay, I'm going to go out and get it. And you did just that. Yeah. So I feel extremely proud and accomplished that you have actually changed over your life because you made that choice.
Yes.
So thank you for inviting me. Thank you for inviting me over. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for accepting this invitation. Actually, when you accepted this invitation, you just added a star to all my achievements. And this is one of them. I'm always going to be grateful to you.
Thank you. You're really embarrassing me. Let me tell you that.
No, not at all. That's not the idea. Okay, so before I begin with my questions, I would like to tell everybody that please put your mic on mute, and if you have any questions, you can leave it in the chat box, or you can wait towards the end of the episode and you can ask Doctor directly. Okay, so firstly, I'm going to ask this to all my speakers. So I wanted to know, why did you agree to come on Voice Out with, Being Beautiful?
Most important is that Being Beautiful talks about mental health. Okay, and mental health is one area which is highly neglected. Each one of us, whether we are babies as young as 2, 3, maybe younger, or old people, geriatrics, okay, as old as 90, all of us who are alive go through something or the other. And the favorite form of dealing with mental health is aggression. And the second form of dealing with mental health is, I am okay, kuch nahi hua. Okay, which is a farce. Kuch nahi hua hai is absolutely a farce. कुछ तो हो रहा है, उसीलिए हम जिंदा भी तो है ना. हम जिंदा है, इसीलिए कुछ ना कुछ होता ही रहेगा. So how we deal with every single challenge that comes our way is something that you've shown me, and you're a prime example about how you've turned your life around. And I wanted to actually come here and applaud it and show people that it can be done.
Thank you so much. Now I am actually getting embarrassed. Yeah, actually, I remember my first call with you. I have never met a therapist. I have never spoken to somebody as professional as you. But I remember my first call with you, and you were like, okay, so tell me what's happening. I actually felt like I was talking to my friend. Like, if I talk to any of my friends out here, I actually felt that because that is the comfort you got. You provided that to me, and I was okay to open up because it's not easy to open up nowadays. It's not easy to express. People do not confront. They get scared of confrontation, and that they avoid. And I think that is what leads people to toxic situations or relationships or anything for that matter. If you don't talk or if you don't express or voice out, which is why this platform has been created, uh, I think we are all, I mean, if we don't do that, obviously that's where the problem lies. But when we start doing it, we start finding the solution. And that is what I have learned from you. And that is what I thought that I will, reach out to the world and reach out to as many as people I can personally, and help anybody, whoever I can.
I want to just add something here, if I may. Okay.
Yes, of
Now,
course.
when you talk about talking to friends, okay, I can talk to my friends, I can talk to my relatives, and I can talk to hundreds of people that I meet every day. मेरे जिंदगी में ऐसा हो रहा है, मेरी जिंदगी में वैसा हो रहा है, लेकिन there is no solution coming. And when you're talking to a friend, the friend will have a bigger problem. Okay,
True.
so when you start talking about it, the friend will say, "अरे तेरे ऐसा हो रहा है, मेरे तो और भी बड़े हो रहे हैं, भाई." You don't know
Happens all
whether
the
it's
time.
mother-in-law, friend, mother, whoever. Okay, so when you
Yeah.
speak to a therapist, you actually commit to creating change in your life. And when you speak to other people, you're just sharing their challenges and your challenges and wondering if the world is such a big bad place. The world is not a big bad place. It's a wonderful place to live in. Depends on your attitude.
Very true. Very, very true. And that is something what, whenever I speak to anybody, any of my friends or any people who contact me for their, mental health issues, that is what I tell them. It's all on how you respond to a situation. Situations will not stop coming to you. Things will not stop coming to you, but it is how you respond to it, how you take care of that particular thing. You might get out of depression at maybe today, tomorrow, after 1 year, and you will not stop going through these times in your life. It's just how you respond to it makes you stronger. I think that is what I believe, and that is what even you taught me all of these things. Okay, so moving to my next question, how do you define beautiful, or what is beautiful according to you?
What is beautiful according to me is just being somebody who believes in self, somebody who loves yourself. You be true to yourself, be the authentic self that you were supposed to be. Okay, don't be somebody who's constantly second guessing self and wondering what if, what not. There is nobody and nothing in the world that can make you feel beautiful unless you feel beautiful about yourself from within. Okay, that is very, very important.
Very nice. Yeah, very true. I think that is the theme of my blog as well, or what I'm doing with Being Beautiful. I always keep saying, be yourself, accept yourself the way you are. You might be fat, thin, dark, fair, or tall, short, or whatever you may be. I mean, God has created you, and you should not be questioning God's creation simply because, He has made you, and you should just accept yourself the way you are, physical way, mental way, in all the ways possible. I mean, that is one thing I have understood it. Obviously, I've understood it after 35 years of my life, but yes, I did. I mean, never late then. I mean, it's better. Okay, so going to my next question, whenever we had our therapy lessons, you shared your own personal experience, and you told me how you overcame challenges, and so can you share your personal experience, which was challenging, and you seen the rainbow at the end of the storm? So what is your story like?
Where should I begin? When I was a little baby, or when I was a teenager, or when I got married at 20, and everyone thought I'd been having a torrid affair with this guy who was 9 years older than me. when actually I listened to his voice on the phone and I was so smitten. I had to meet him. Okay. So
Okay.
I come from a traditional South Indian Brahmin family, and he's a Sindhi. We had an arranged marriage at the end of the day, okay, where he found me and sent a hand, asked for my hand from my grandparents and stuff like that. But everyone in the extended family thought that I had an affair with him, and that's how I was entangled. And we met in February, got engaged on Bomb Blast Day, 12th of March, and got married in 2.5 months. Okay,
Okay.
it was like that, and I was still studying. And after that, all of a sudden, I got married, and my grandparents said, "Listen, ये तो अभी पढ़ाई छोड़ देगी, ये तो ऐसा करेगी, वैसा करेगी." It was like absolute. South Indians believe a lot in education, and all of a sudden, this thing was that okay, she's never going to study again. She's gotten married now, like a factory. She'll just produce babies, and that's the end of the story, and life is all done and over with. And 20, I was 20. So every person I went to give an invitation to for my wedding said, "Are you sure? Are you sure कुछ हुआ तो नहीं है? गड़बड़
Yeah.
तो नहीं है?
Yeah.
Is somebody pressurizing you? Are you being blackmailed into getting married?" God knows what kind of stories were coming through. Okay. And it was like extremely traumatic to think about this person I love so much. I've fallen in love with him, and everyone is saying, "No, no, 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 no. He's too old for you. He's a Sindhi, you're a South Indian, you can't do this, you can't do this." It was completely crazy. And unfortunately, after I got married, within about 8 months, I started falling very sick. What I didn't know is I had toxoplasmosis. Okay, so
Okay.
I had to undergo a medical termination of, my baby. It was like a medical termination of my pregnancy, the fetus and stuff. And it was very traumatic on me because I was barely 21 when this happened. And it was still the honeymoon phase of my life. And I had to drop out of college because it was so sad. I mean, from 56, I went down to 42 kilos. There were times when I couldn't walk. I used to hold the wall and walk. And after that, I don't know what happened. For 8 years, I could not get pregnant. I dropped out of college. Okay. And then I went back after recuperating and got all my degrees. And I've been studying ever since. I'm waiting now for my babies to go to their colleges and universities so I can do my MEd and maybe pursue another PhD. I don't know. I'm looking forward to going back to studying. Shamita knows how crazy I am about this. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yes. So the whole idea was that it was difficult. Okay. It was extremely disheartening, the entire period of dreaming about something, getting to know you're pregnant, losing it, and then going through 8 years of infertility treatment every single month. Okay. And at the end of it, being told that you can never have a child because your uterus is not functional, your ovaries are rupturing on one side, and actually the other side is completely blocked, the fallopian tube is blocked. I used to see a pregnant woman, I used to cry. I love children, I simply adore children, and I work with children. So I work with children and adults. So imagine just seeing a child and then saying, "Oh my God, I can't have my own." It was the most heart-wrenching moments of my life, the year that went by. And I kept giving my husband all kind of Hindi film ideas, dusri shadi kar lena. So he said, "What guarantees do you have? I'll have babies with that person." I would say, "Okay, we'll adopt, we'll do this, we'll do that." And I was considered not to be eligible for IVF also because by then with the treatments I had put on so much weight. So then my husband said, "Listen, you've not done anything wrong to anybody. Chill. होगा तो देखेंगे, नहीं होगा तो खुश रहेंगे. Okay, either ways we'll be happy. Don't worry." I used to cry and blah, blah, and everything. And then I said, "Okay, forget it. Let me start working out." I started joining the gym. Next thing I know, I was pregnant with my daughter, who's my miracle. And 15 months later, I was pregnant with my son, okay, who's my bonus. And they both are now teenagers, and it's quite a roller coaster ride with them. So that's one trial, okay, and I can go on and on and on about things that have happened.
Yeah, I mean, I heard a little bit from Shamita as well. So and obviously you were the one also who told me, one or two experiences of yours. The reason I asked you this is because I want the listeners to know that, everybody goes through hardships in their life. Everybody goes through some kind of situation which pulls them down, but that is not the end of your life. Your life will go on no matter what happens, no matter who comes and who goes, your life will go on, and you are responsible for your life. You're responsible for the decisions you make and your choice. Like how you rightly said, it was my choice to come out of a toxic relationship which I was in, and because of which I am only better and I'm only happier today.
One more experience I can share right now is
Yes.
about the time when Shamita was doing her B.Ed. I was her classmate. Okay,
Yeah.
where she's half my age. I'm not telling you her age. I'm not telling you my age.
I know.
The first term, the first term of the B.Ed, I was doing very well. Okay, literally topping, and midway through that, just before our theory exams, I came to know this that my thyroid gland was rioting. Okay, and I had to undergo surgery. So there was this one episode of surgery. Then they discovered I had cancer. So everyone, including the HOD, the principal, everyone said, "Quit the course, don't do it." I would send in my submissions from the hospital. Okay, but I wanted to complete what I had started. So I finished my first year of B.Ed and thought, okay, now it's hunky dory, everything is over. Midway through the second term, I found out that I have a fibroid which was 2.75 kilos, the size of a football. I'm sure you all love football, okay? And all my major organs were being compressed, and that's why I'm having so much trouble in spite of having gone through my cancerous journey and everything. Then the gallbladder turned out to have some more funny stuff on it, so that also had to be removed. So then the doctor said, so June I had one surgery, August I had my treatment for cancer, November I had my other surgery. And while there were multiple surgeries, 3 surgeries together that were happening, and I slipped off the OT table. Hurt my back a little bit, but doesn't matter. Okay. And when I woke up in the surgical ICU, I had scratch marks all over me. And the head sisters asking me, because they naturally changed me once moving to the surgical ICU. So there, the head sister, she asked me, "Do you have a history of domestic violence?" I said, "Please go check out my husband. Okay, he's the most gentle of gentlemen you'll ever find."
That's
so
rare.
domestic violence, what is giving you that idea? So she says, "See, you have scratch marks." I said, "Scratch marks, where did they come from?" I called out to my husband. Then he calmly explained to me what had happened. During the process of the surgery, they tilted the table and one technician opened the belt and I went zoop.
Oh my God.
So the anesthetist grabbed me and pulled me back, and that's where the scratch marks came in from. Okay, we did not sue the hospital because the doctor is amazing. The doctors, all of them looked after me so well, and we don't want to get into suing people unnecessarily. Okay, yeah. The idea is relationship building, not looking for revenge. I'm fine, right? So why should I go fight it? Monetary compensation, paisa aata jata hai, no problem. Okay, so essentially we look at these aspects, and I completed my B.Ed, and we were like 4 in the entire Southeast Asia to get that degree. And I'm still amazed at how I found the support. My classmates were supportive, my teachers, lecturers, HOD, everyone, the principal, all of them had actually told me quit. And then when they realized I'm not a quitter, they supported me. So remember, when you don't quit, whether you have people or no, you have yourself, and that's what gives you the conviction to go forth.
Very true, very true. I mean, yeah, I mean that applies to everyone actually, all those whoever are listening right now. Whenever you feel like quitting, do not quit, because quitting is not even an option. All you have to do is fight back. No matter how many times life throws you down, no matter how many times you're thrown under the bus, eventually you will not need anybody's hand to stand up on your own. I mean, it is going to hurt you, obviously, at the beginning, maybe first 2 3 times, but later on you are going to be absolutely fine, and you will know the reason, and you build that strength within yourself. You don't need anybody's hand at that moment. I think people need to know this. It is very, very important, because I have many people coming up to me and saying, I'm done. And I have people who talk to me about suicides. And I was one of them. You know that very well. I was suicidal at one point of time. And when people speak about suicide, I'm like, how stupid I was to even think about ending my life, which was not worth something. So yes, I think people should just not quit. I think quitting is just not an option. Very, very rightly said, and thank you so much. Yes, of course.
I want to say something here, okay? When you feel that you're being thrown under the bus, remember the time will also come when you're a bus driver. But when you're the bus driver, don't drive over anybody.
Yes.
Okay, that is important. And the feeling of suicide comes from a sense of helplessness,
Yes.
a sense of I am stuck in this position. Nobody is willing to listen. I want that particular person or object or whatever. Okay, and I'm not able to achieve it. I'm not able to get it, and so better is to end life than to live life. That is what people think, but there are so many other options. Oh, life is beautiful. When anybody thinks of suicide, one thing they have to think about is how will my parents feel when they see my dead body lying there? How will my siblings feel? How will my friends feel? Okay, and then I have people saying, what about my feelings? Am I not important? My feelings are important. Yes, your feelings are important. Very, very important. That's why you go see somebody who can help you, somebody who is professional, who can walk you through that time, which is difficult. And if you feel that it is something you're not able to overcome, you can see a psychiatrist, you can inform your family, call for attention. It's okay. But don't do it again and again. Otherwise, people will say, this person only cries wolf.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Because I remember this was somewhere in November, I think last year, where I was just not controllable. I had I was out of control, you can say. And, you know, because of my sister-in-law Shamita, who lives with me, I think she is a angel sent by God. And I get really emotional when I speak about my family because they have always been there for me. You know, my parents, my brother, my sister-in-law, my friends as well. And the only thing what came to my mind that time is them, you know, my parents or my brother, because I didn't wanted to put them through something which they don't deserve. And I'm sorry, I just got a little emotional, but obviously I do, because whenever I speak about them, I always do. And I think it's important to understand that your parents or your loved ones should not be going through something, and you will eventually find the strength in you as a person, and you will stand up and keep fighting. You will see the rainbow one day. That's all I want to say now. And you know how
Well,
emotional I am.
very well put.
Okay, so can we go to the next question, doctor?
So,
Okay, so why is the word depression used so casually, and what is depression, or I can say, what is depression versus sadness? Because if you see every second person is saying, I'm depressed, I'm going through depression. But I think people need to understand what is depression, what is sadness, what is anxiety.
depression is essentially a mental, actually medically, it is there in the DSM as a medical illness. Okay. It is something that needs to be taken very seriously, and the word should not be thrown around so loosely. Okay. When you have depression, a person can feel actually every nerve ending, which is very, very painful. Okay. Just untying your, pants, the drawstring of your pants, picking up a comb to comb your hair is an extremely painful process. Being able to bring food up to your mouth is an extremely painful process, not because it hurts physically, it is emotionally exhausting and extremely painful. Okay. When we talk about sadness, most people experience intense sadness. There are people who have experienced actual depression, but this gets mixed up. Okay, because people can't identify with intense sadness and the degrees of sadness that they're feeling, and actually what is making them feel that way. And they call it depression, and depression needs to be treated with medication and constant therapy. But intense sadness can be dealt with therapy without medication, and you can go ahead with it. So when people talk about anxiety, they worry. They worry about what if, iske baad kya hoga? What if I get COVID and die? I had COVID on Valentine's Day, okay? And I spent an entire week with my
Yeah, you
husband.
told
He
me.
also had, romantic COVID we had. Okay.
Romantic COVID. Okay.
So, yeah, we had romantic COVID. So the two of us were together in hospital. Thankfully, we got a bed. We got not one bed, we got two beds, and we were able to stay in a twin sharing room. So it was an interesting experience where he was also ill, I was ill, but the degree of illness I had was more because of my past history. And so I had to be on O2 and stuff like that. But fair enough, I'm back here now. Coming back to anxiety. So the what if you keep thinking about, my kids were alone at home, they're teenagers. Okay, they're used to having help. So if I got worked up about it and said, oh my God, I can't leave them alone, I'm going to sit home and ignore my mental health, I wouldn't be here today. Anxiety is a lot of the what ifs and the worries that cause us to tear up our today and tomorrow and literally drown ourselves in sorrow because we can't see the silver lining on every cloud.
True, yeah, it's true, because now that the situation is such that people are finding it difficult to deal with pandemic, especially in India, because and in Mumbai, since you're in Mumbai, it is becoming things are going out of control, and we see it all over news, and it's I don't know, I mean, what to say about it.
Sweetie, there is also recoveries happening. Okay, when you look at the negative, you also need to look at the positive. My husband's 89-year-old aunt with no symptoms was diagnosed with COVID because her cook had COVID, and he was serving food on the table and stuff like that. So naturally, the infection got passed on. For senior citizens, the home were between 80 and 89. And all four of them with the kind, attention that BMC has been giving, and of course, God, that they got beds. BMC treated them free of cost. One lady was treated free of cost, and they are very well off. They didn't need that, but BMC gave them a bed when they needed it. They're here during COVID. Nobody's seeing who's rich, who's not rich, who can afford, who cannot afford. Bed hai, dalo, recovery mein dalo. Health. The staff, nursing staff, the domestic, the support staff, you name it, the doctors, they're working overtime. And they're so kind and generous. It's amazing. So COVID here, the statistics are not very promising, but they are improving every day is what we have to see and read more about the recoveries than the dismal news that we are getting all the time.
Yeah, true, because the media is not going to show the recovery. That's true.
I won't say that.
Okay, so moving on to my next question. You keep saying this at the end of every message, happy times or stay happy. Or how do you manage to stay happy every time? Whenever I have spoken to you, whenever I've chatted with you, or whenever I have, even called you randomly, apart from my therapy lessons, I don't know. I mean, I have always got that, like I can say you're that source of happiness which you keep spreading. How do you manage to do that?
There is no real source of happiness, sweetheart. Okay? Because happiness is something that you have to cultivate 24/7. Everyone has trials. Okay, my biggest loss in the pandemic has been my nails. I loved my long nails and I used to paint them every second day, and it used to take a lot of pride in them. See, such a first world challenge. When you think about nails, you laugh. What? People are losing life when you're talking about nails. Yes. So to each one, something or the other is more precious than something else. Okay, and unhappiness comes at any point. It hits you in the face. Sometimes it doesn't hit you in the face. It just slowly creeps up. But happy times is something I've been saying since I was in college as a teenager, because I realized one thing, that right now being with my friends, being with my family makes me happy. Maybe I'll miss them later, maybe I won't, but I'll say happy times, like how people say, God bless you. My wish for my friends, my family, and the people I connect with is always that they find happiness. Happiness per se 24/7 is not healthy. You need to experience the entire spectrum of emotion, whether it's anger, rage, selfishness, envy, jealousy, okay, love, kindness, meanness. All of it needs to be experienced, but the final outcome should be how satisfied are you with yourself? How can you generate happiness for yourself? So there is no real mine of happiness or source of happiness. Okay, it is something you need to keep working on, and that's why I say happy times.
Yeah, it's like an affirmation as well, because you, since you're saying it and passing on to others, you're also uh, attracting that in your life while you are giving it out to others. So I think we should start using affirmations on regular basis, even when it is not required, because you never know who might be needing it. Okay, so moving on to my next question, there is a very famous saying, and I also believe in it, that it says that believe and it will happen. So what is your views on this saying? Why do people have to believe and keep their faith so strong that no matter what, it is going to happen? So what are your views on this?
Okay, believe and it will happen is a very strong statement. But unless you work on what you believe on, it's not going to happen. Like you can see, I'm nice and roly-poly, and I believe that tomorrow morning when I wake up, I'm going to be thinner than the hottest model on earth. It's not going to happen unless I work on myself, and it's going to take time. So I have people who come and say, why should I believe? What is the law of attraction? Why should I do this? Why should I do that? Okay, essentially, believing in something good is helpful. It helps us look forward to something that's going to change in our life. And when it helps us look forward, all our thoughts get aligned in that sense. We start working towards it. But if I put my hands up and say, okay, it's going to happen, I'm going to do nothing. Get my noodles, get my ice cream, I'm going to combine both and eat it, and I'm going to be the hottest model tomorrow morning. Watch me, because I believe in it. It's not going to happen. Okay, so you believe in something, you work towards it, and it will definitely work, is what the saying says. Okay, but in real life, there are many other factors that come in the way, and the real life factors could be external circumstances. If it's a business deal, the other person's decision. So you believe, you do your best. Okay, and if the outcome is not favorable, don't lose complete hope. Redirect, investigate what you've not done right, what you can do right for the next time. Plan, prep, and believe again.
True. True. I mean, I
Okay.
think, yes, it happened with, when I was on my weight loss journey, because I struggled for many years. And it's not that, I'm some model material or something, but I worked towards it, and I knew that I visioned myself in a particular, size, or how much I wanted to lose weight. And it's not that I said that, oh, I believe that I'm going to lose weight, and I did nothing about it. I joined the gym. I did some hardcore exercise, and I still, maintain that thing even today whenever I get time. So it's not believe and it will happen. When you believe, you have to also work on it, and then it will happen. Because if I tell somebody believe and it will happen, they will be like, okay, I believe that I'm going to lose weight, and you keep continuing, you eat whatever you want to eat, and you don't care about, your health or whatever. Obviously, it's not going to happen. Just by believing and not working on it is, that's what I wanted to get it out today.
If you believe that it's going to happen just like that, please give me the magic wand.
I hope I had it.
No, I don't want magic wand. I believe in working.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I think it's important, because you will enjoy when you get that part, you're going to enjoy that reward when you receive it, because you have worked hard towards it. And anything which comes with hard work is extremely, precious to you, and you value it more than anything else in the world. If you just you know, like for example, you just find some money on the road, you will get excited about it. You will, in the speed it came, it is going to go in that same speed. But when you are working hard for something and when you receive it, and you know, that happiness is something different. It is not something what I can put in words right now, but because of, you know, some kind of hard work you're getting it, obviously that is much better than just getting something just by not doing anything or and simply believing it.
Agreed.
Okay, one last question, and that is, what is angry, upset, or depressed? I mean, how do you divert your emotions? Like, you know, for example, I am feeling I'm angry, upset, or depressed right now, and I don't want to feel that right now. You know, I'm at work or I'm with my friends, or I might be, you know, in the middle of a lot of people. How do I divert those emotions?
This is a very interesting question, because a lot of people go through this in social situations, at work. Depressed, I wouldn't say all of them are depressed or most of them are depressed. It could be just intense sadness because whatever they hope for has not worked their way or come their way. So in the event that you are upset about something, identify what you're upset about and address it. In a social situation, for example, maybe you wanted the last piece of the starter and somebody ate it up, or somebody walked into the room and didn't say hello. Okay, so it's upset you and it's made you angry also. Okay, how dare that person do that? Okay, there's a long history on what you need to work on, your own belief systems, which will require a couple of sessions of therapy to arrive at. But definitely you can identify what about this situation, about yourself, is creating that upset, and learn to address it.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it is because you know, I think if you're depressed, angry, or upset, it's not necessary you have to be in that, or you know, you can jump out of it immediately. You have to work towards it. I think everything needs some kind of working towards getting to where you want to be. Okay, now I have questions which a few of the listeners or my viewers have sent me. Okay, and also I would like to tell all my viewers right now, if you all have any questions, please leave it in the chat box, or you all can switch on your mic and ask her, or your video or whatever. You all can check with Dr. Tanuja and she will be happy to answer them. So I will ask these questions first, and one second. Well, this has come from a friend. So she says that despite of distancing, avoiding certain negative people, their talks and behavior, it does not, I mean, it still doesn't help. So what do I do?
It doesn't help in what way is one question I would have for her again. Okay, but are you holding on to them more than they're holding on to you? Are you looking out for them more than they're looking out for you is my question. Okay. Avoiding and shoving under the carpet doesn't help. What about their negativity is impacting you is what I would love to know, sweetie. Bonita has my WhatsApp number. You can WhatsApp and we'll chat.
Yeah. I am going to leave her details in fact, you're already on the group of Voice Out. So if anybody wants to take any sessions with Dr. Tanuja, you all can reach out to me, or she's also on the group. You all can message. The group is going to be active till the 30th of May. So you all can ask her questions, or you can reach out to her personally as well. Okay, I have one more question. What is that one takeaway or mantra or thing that you would advise people with difficult journeys to inculcate to bring about a positive change and find inner peace?
Life is a learning experience. Okay. It's not one experience that defines who and what you are. Multiple experiences define who and what you are. Life is a learning experience. Live it, enjoy it, and move.
Sorry, I lost your last statement. I think because
I said live it, enjoy it, and move forward.
yes. Anybody has any questions for Dr. Tanuja? Anybody wants to say anything to her before I end this wonderful episode with her?
I have a suggestion. You should tell everyone to put on their cameras and get a selfie, a screenshot.
Yeah, I mean, if all of you guys would do that, that would be great. In fact, I have to take some pictures as well.
How sweet. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys, for putting your camera on. So there is
Wait,
Gunjan.
there. My baby's come.
Shamita. She's my angel.
Hi, ladies.
Yes, and my baby.
Okay,
The show is awesome.
Thank you, sweetie. Thank you.
Thank you, Shamu. Okay, so we have Gunjan, we have Rashmi, we have Sybil, we have Rock and Jovita, we have Roylene, and yeah, I think these are the guys who put on the camera, and the rest of them are camera shy, I believe.
I'll say, no problem.
Okay, let me take another picture because, 1 second. Guys, please smile.
Smiling.
Thank you so much. Okay, so Dr. Tanuja, thank you so much for being on the show today. I would like you to close for us whatever is in your heart and mind. And once again, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me over. I truly appreciate all of you being patient listeners. Okay, mental health is an absolute challenge that we all face. There's no stigma in reaching out for help. Okay, when you know somebody requires that help, please assist them. And it's not always about the monies. Okay, if people can't afford assistance, also we have professionals who are there to support. My daughter runs a portal called Mind Your Mind on Instagram, and she works with, you know, helping connecting dots between people who can't afford to get therapy. She offers free therapy sessions of 30 minutes each, and professional. She's a 17-year-old, so she doesn't do it herself. She only connects the dots. Okay, and you can just connect with her on Mind Your Mind on Instagram, and you can see how you can work with your mental journey, your mental health journey, and healthify yourself. My heart is here. Okay, I feel, I emote, everything is here. So we have to remember that. What is the function of your heart? To pump blood and to purify your blood. Okay, so this is actually here. तो ये सही रहेगा तो सब कुछ चकाचक रहेगा. ठीक है? Thank you for listening to me, and Bonita, thank you for having me over. God bless you and happy times.
Happy weekend, guys. Don't forget to wear your mask and stay safe. Take care and see you guys next Saturday.
Thank you. Bye-bye.